Follow my channel usually know that I don't cover basic topics, nor have any kind of flashy graphics or cool looking studio in the background and whatnot, and just talk forever. I'm not going to talk forever in this. We're going to get straight to this point. And this comes up only because I have had comments on Roman numerals, as well as, saying something like the flat 6 chord. Living in the day and age where almost everybody just kind of uses slash chords for the analysis, you should know all possible ways to analyze things, including the old functional way and modern ways. And some of the best progress I've had with students are the ones who started at the very beginning of music theory and that have worked their way forward to modernism. And they look at modernism stuff now and they really understand it as a result of learning all possible methods of analysis. So let's just get started. I'm not going to talk forever. Use the major scale as your reference point. I have found this to be the easiest way to teach this, and so that's what we're going to do. I won't try to overcomplexify anything. We're just going to use the major scale as a reference. So I'm going to write in a C major scale. I am going to assume you know how to form triads and scales, so let's just write in the chords of the C major scale. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. So first things first, the Roman numerals, uppercase for major triads, lowercase for minor triads. 3 chords minor, lowercase. 4 chords major, uppercase. 5 chords major, uppercase. 6 chords minor, lowercase. 7 chords diminished, lowercase plus the diminished sign. A minor chord with a diminished fifth. That's why it's lowercase. It's chord quality. Now, throughout this whole thing, keep chord quality in mind. We'll play through the chords. Let's first deal with chord quality. And we're going to keep chord quality in mind throughout this whole video again. Chord quality. So the chord quality of the diminished chord there, for instance. Moving this over to the 3 chord, let's alter the chord quality to augmented. Now augmented is a major chord with an augmented fifth, so you'd make it uppercase. Now our 3 chord in this scheme is this. Changing that back to the regular 3, let's go to the 4 chord. I'll move the chord quality thing there. We'll just make this a minor chord. Now, this will have to become lowercase. And now we get this F minor chord. Just like you write in slash chords, F with a small lowercase m, lowercase 4 means minor. So let's introduce distance. And I have found that using the distance method plus the chord quality in relation to the major scale actually helps students figure out the chords of other scales and what Roman numerals to use. Or altered chords. So let's alter the 2. Let's make it a D flat instead of a D minor. So this now has to become a flat uppercase 2 for a D flat major chord. Now let's do what we did in the previous example with the 3 chord when we made it augmented, make the flat 2 augmented. This is what we'll have to do. We'll take away the flat on the A, and then we'll just add a plus sign to it. Flat 2 augmented. Regardless of chord quality, it's still a flat 2 form of a chord in relation to this major scale setup. So let's go over to the 6th chord. And instead of A minor, we'll make it A flat major. So we'd call this the flat 6 uppercase. And we'd get this. Now again, the chord quality does not matter. If it's that A that's flatted, it's going to be a flat something 6 chord. Now we're going to do something else. We're going to create a Lydian Roman numeral scheme and name all the chords in relation to the major setup here. So let me first create a Lydian chord scheme by sharpening all the Fs, as Lydian is just a major scale with a sharp 4, sharp 4th degree. And let me go ahead and put that in the B chord, the F sharp. Now we'll change this scheme according to the, in relation to the major scale. So we still have an uppercase 1. Now we have an uppercase 2, meaning major. We have a minor 3. We have a diminished sharp 4. So that's what we'll write in. Sharp, lowercase 4 with the diminished symbol. The 5 chord still major. The 6 chord is minor. The 7 chord is minor. So we just need to remove the diminished symbol. Now we have the Roman numeral set up for Lydian. And this is easy to understand for Roman numeral readers. Now we're going to switch this up to Aeolian, which would make this the parallel minor of C major. So let me go ahead and write in the accidentals you need for this. And if you can't read music, I actually highly recommend that you do that. It is very helpful, especially when you want to study scores and stuff. Now let's use distance and chord quality and name these with Roman numerals. The 1 chord is now a lowercase 1 because it's minor. The 2 is diminished. The 3 is now flat, plus it's a major chord, so it's uppercase. The 4 is minor, thus lowercase. The 5 is minor, so it's lowercase. The 6 is both flat and major, so it's uppercase. The 7 is flat and major, so it's uppercase. And again, I was using this in relation to the major scale setup. So playing through the chords, the diminished E flat, F minor, G minor, A flat major, B flat major. So if there's no notation at all, you'd still be able to know what chords are formed with that formula. Phrygian, let's do this. And I'm intentionally choosing different kinds of scales because I want to show you how you can use the major scale as your basis to name the chords, distance, and chord quality. So let me turn this into Phrygian really quick, which gives us a C minor, a D flat major, an E flat major, an F minor, a G diminished, an A flat major, and a B flat minor. Now again, let's take those major scale Roman numerals and alter them to fit this scheme. So we have a minor 1 lowercase, a flat 2 major uppercase, a flat 3 major uppercase, minor 4 lowercase, diminished 5 lowercase plus the diminished symbol, a flat 6 major uppercase, a flat 7 minor lowercase. Again, I wouldn't need the notation if I just saw the Roman numerals. I'd know to do this. So now we figured out how to make Roman numerals for Phrygian. So let's go ahead and go back to this referencing the major scale, and we'll just alter a few things just to really make this point clear. We'll make this a flat 3 augmented, which makes it E flat augmented. Now let's say this is your whole chord scheme. Let me put in the flat. It's good to remind people, for instance, say this is your chord setup, you're making some kind of unusual chord changes. remind people just simply that the E is natural again in the regular chord scheme. Just looking at the Roman numerals, I'd know to do this. Let's alter another chord. Let's take the 4 chord and we'll make it a sharp something. Let's make it a sharp minor chord. Now in the rest of the harmonic scheme, I just want to remind people that the C is back to natural and the F is back to natural. 2 altered chords in here, as if this is your chord sequence. So we'll make this a sharp minor 4, which makes it lowercase. So again, the symbology alone will allow me to play this sequence like this and know without ever having to see the notes. And it might sound like a bizarre set of sequence of chords, but it allows me to know what chords to play without even seeing the notation, just like slash chords do. So that's as easy as it gets. If you actually just reference the major scale when you determine your Roman numerals, keep in mind distance and chord quality in relation to this setup. It's hard to not choose the right Roman numeral for a specific setup, whether it's mode, unusual scales like Phrygian dominant, whatever. It becomes very easy to figure it out. I encourage learning both slash chords and Roman numerals. You may need slash chords, for instance. It's much easier to deal with stuff like the diminished scale or the augmented scale or something unique like that, and just completely check out Roman numeral thinking, because it's just way too complex to do it that way. So there's a time and place for both, and some, like I said, some of the best students I've had have actually started at the very beginning and worked their way forward to the most advanced harmonic concepts, and can also do stuff like distinguishing between when to use more of the Roman numeral thinking, like in counterpoint, for instance, because counterpoint stuff is very hard to describe with slash chord thinking. You're better off going back to the old school rules. But again, oppositely, you still know slash chords, because you may run into stuff where the old school rules are going to do a terrible job of describing something. So learn both ways. I always say find the path of least resistance when it comes to describing something. If you're new here, please like and subscribe, and please check out my other video playlists. I have a lot on film score harmony, for instance. It might be very useful for a lot of people. I'm not big on an enormous amount of visuals and all kinds of effects and talking all the time, which I'm doing right now, ironically. Talked more in this video than I have in any other video. I just get usually straight to the point and show you examples instead of wasting people's time.